Hello, everyone, and here we are back again to continue our beautiful discussion on the general topics, general aspects of life, which are crucially important. The reason these things are important is because they affect our daily life and they affect it in a very direct manner. It's not that the daily life is partially affected by these things. What we are talking, you know, the things we discuss on the channel, they define the very way of living through which we live. So understanding those aspects, understanding the mechanism of life is very important. In the past few videos, we have been discussing where to use thought and where not to use thought. And we went into it in quite a detail. And today I would like to take up the subject, which is obviously everything is connected on our series, on our channel. But today's topic is connected to our last video, just to keep it continuous. And that is what happens when you use thought at the wrong place. We have covered it a little bit in the last video. I thought it's more important to cover it a little bit more, in a little bit more depth. And the reason for that is that I really want to make it clear that using thought at a wrong place is very, very it's very, very painful. So even though we don't recognize that it's painful, and that's why we keep using thought in the wrong places of our life, I just want to show how it becomes painful. Okay, so maybe with that, the importance of what we have discussed before in the last two videos, you get a feel of that it is actually very important to understand that. So in essence, when you use thought at the wrong place, where it's not supposed to be used, where it's not supposed to come into, where it's incapable, where it's infertile, where it cannot do anything, and if you still try to do that, then thought hangs up. It's like a computer program that hangs. In the same way, because thought cannot solve a problem that you're asking it to solve, it hangs. And when it hangs, that creates friction. And that friction creates a blockage of energy. And that energy starts to build up. It starts to build up in a locked way, like something is containing the whole energy. And eventually it bursts out in the form of anger. When thought cannot contain the energy anymore, what happens is you feel super angry and you burst out all the energy. So something happens for which you do not have a solution. Okay? You are having a disagreement with your friend. Your friend says something, but you feel the other way. You feel that the right way is some other way. And then you and your friend have a disagreement. After that conversation, you say, I'm feeling bad after having this conversation with my friend, and my friend has created a sense of sadness into me by having this discussion, by blaming me for some things. I'm not this kind of person that my friend is telling me. or how my friend is portraying me. I was really shocked that my friend thinks like this about me. And instead of friend, you can put any other role of your life. It could be your wife, it could be your father, it could be your brother, it could be anyone, okay? But these common thoughts come in our mind. So our usual habit is that we think that the person in front of us, the situation in front of us, the object in front of us has created this sadness inside of me by doing something, by putting me into this position. Okay? But we totally neglect that it is not completely like that. We also have a contribution in creating that sadness. Okay? Now, when your friend does something which you don't like, which you do not agree with, then you do not feel the disagreement of your friend. You do not feel exactly the action that your friend has started. Okay? What you feel is what happens inside of you when your friend does that. When your friend makes a statement or does some action, it creates something inside of you. Okay? And I would call it conflict. Okay? When your friend is doing something which you do not like, but he still ends up doing it, or he is having a different opinion, let's say like that, then that creates a conflict inside of you. I hope you have observed it, that you start to question, why is he saying like this? Why he can't understand me? I'm trying to do this. I'm the nice person. They are not the nice person. All these thoughts start to work inside of you. Okay? Now, this is what I'm calling conflict. Your mind is no longer at rest. It's starting to solve the puzzle. Okay? This conflict makes you feel sad. So, an unpleasing thing happens in front of you, an object, a friend, a situation, whatever, and from that, you start a process of conflict inside of you. Now, this is totally in your hand. You could see that your friend doesn't agree with you, and you could accept that at that moment and say, fine, my friend doesn't agree with me. That's it. Fine, I accept it. And you do not start this cycle of conflict inside of you. Then you would see what your friend does is not affecting you in a way of making you feel sad, in a way of making you feel irritated, making you feel angry. Okay? But if you let his action or her action or the situation of your life, if you let the situation in your life to start a conflict inside of you, to start a conversation inside of you, which is trying to solve this situation, okay, then the problem starts. Okay? So, if a problem is easily solvable, you solve it in a few seconds, because no one likes to be in a problem. Simple as that. Everyone likes to live in a nice, calm and chill way. But when the problem is not solvable, you start to have this strong inner dialogue. You cannot change your friend's mind. Your friend really wants to have his opinion or her opinion. You cannot change the situation in front of you that your friend has left you. Someone close by has left you. You cannot change it now. You have to face the situation. You cannot solve it. And you start to use thought, because this has been your habit of life, as we have discussed in the past videos. Because I use thought everywhere, because I use the key of thought in every lock, when something comes in front of me which I cannot solve using thought, I still start to use thought, because that's my habit. But when I do that, that creates an immense amount of frustration, friction, unsatisfaction, dissatisfaction, irritation, and eventually sadness, because thought cannot solve it. It's outside the reach of thought to solve that situation or that problem. Okay? So, because you do not know where not to use thought, you go through this irritation and sadness and sorrow. If you could recognize, observe that yes, this is the situation now where I should not use thought, situation is out of my hands, all I can do is accept the situation, then you would see you wouldn't go through all that mess. But we are so used to applying thought in every situation of life, in every context of life, that we just don't see this. We straight away apply thought. I hope now you see how I'm connecting it to the last video, that we need to see that where thought is useful and where thought is not useful. If we don't see that, if we ignore the video, if we ignore this discussion and we say, I don't really give a shit about all this, let me live my life, I need to make a lot of money and blah, 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 then what happens is your habit of using thought is never going to stop. Because that is what an inherent conditioning of humans. The baby is born with that habit to use thought. It's a survival mechanism. Okay? If you don't really train it, if you don't really know where to use it, where not to use it, you would 100% end up using it in the wrong places. And every time you would use it in a wrong place, you would have to suffer the conflict it creates inside of you. And long-term conflict inside of you creates sadness, creates depression, creates anxiety, and 1,000 other problems. Okay? So it's very essential to understand where not to use thought. It's very important. Because we suffer our own conflict. We cannot suffer that tree's conflict. We cannot suffer the conflict of the other person. Whatever someone says to you, whatever life throws at you, you cannot really face it because it's outside of you. You only face what happens inside of you because of all these situations. Okay? Now, if some situation is starting a conflict inside of you, a problem inside of you, an irritation inside of you, then maybe it's a nice way of recognizing, detecting that this is the area where I shouldn't use thought. And I should be quiet. I should be quiet. I should observe the situation, the problem, and then try to see if something can be done. If nothing can be done, then I should just quietly accept the situation and rest for a while. And not let this conflict begin inside of me. And you would see, if you can do that, it would already transform your life tremendously. The conflict you go through, which creates eventually sadness, consumes a huge amount of energy. Conflict is naturally energy demanding process. Conflict is friction. Friction needs a lot of energy. Okay? Conflict is one thought saying, this situation is not getting solved, another thought saying, but I have to solve it. And there is a huge interaction going on. How do I solve it? Should I call my brother? Should I call this guy? And there is thought after thought after thought after thought. This is the whole cycle of conflict which you have to face, because you don't know that this is not the place where you should not use thought. Okay? So remember, you face your own conflict. You don't face sadness because of someone else. Someone else could start an action. Someone else could do something wrong according to you. Some situation could be bad according to you. But still it's in your hand whether you want to start this conflict inside of you or not. You could face the situation with a still mind, with a calm mind, with an observing mind, or you could face the situation with a confused and a mind which is in total conflict, which is desperately trying to find a solution. Okay? So that depends on you. Which is why I'm saying it again and again. You face only your own conflict. You blame the other because you don't know how to stop that conflict inside of you. You think Because inside of you, that conflict happens instantaneously as the other person does something wrong. Someone calls you stupid, just by listening that someone has called you stupid, you start this conflict. And because it happens instantaneously, you think the other person has started it. I wonder if you see it. Your friend disagrees with you, life gives you a bad situation, and the moment that happens, you start the conflict inside of you. But it appears as if the situation or the person has started the conflict inside of you. But it's not like that. It's your decision to start that conflict inside of you. So, can you understand this principle? Can you see the principle that there are certain situations where thought is very useful? When you're trying to solve a differential equation, you're trying to calculate the distance between the earth and the moon and all these kind of things, you can use thought there. But there are also situations in life where thought is totally useless. And that is where you need to put thought aside. You don't need to control thought, remember it. Control is again a kind of a problem. It's already again a kind of a friction. But when you know that one key cannot open a lock, you don't stop yourself. You naturally don't approach that lock with that key. There's no question of stopping yourself. Okay? Only an addict has to be stopped. When you're addicted to use thought all again and again and again, then you say, okay, I must control myself. I must not use thought here and there and there. You make some rules, you make some promises. But when you see the logic of it, when you see the truth of it, there is no need to stop yourself. There is no need to tell yourself anything. It just naturally doesn't happen. Because you see, it's stupid to do that. And no one wants to invite sorrow and sadness in their lives intentionally. So, what I really want to focus or emphasize is that it's very important to understand the need of what is the right place of thought. When you know the right place of thought, then life has another side to it. For example, now I'm sitting in this beautiful park. I have this beautiful green grass in front of me, a small lake. The trees are turning their color because of autumn is coming. And I'm enjoying the view. And I can clearly see that I don't need thought here to enjoy this view. I just need to directly observe. Then why should thought interfere here in my observation? If thought comes when I enjoy the view, I get distracted from looking at the view. Then I'm no longer attending the view, but instead I'm attending the thoughts I'm getting at that moment. Okay? When I'm enjoying the beauty of these trees, I don't need to think about anything. I just need to make a direct contact via my senses, via observation. And that is totally enough. So, learn about it. And this is the most, I don't know, I shouldn't use the word pleasure, but this is the most satisfying action of life, to quietly observe the beauty of nature. It's one of the most satisfying actions of life. That's why people go to the mountains. That's why people go to lakes, so they can enjoy this beauty of nature. But if you do not know that you have to put thought aside, this is not the place to use thought, then thought will corrupt even these actions. And naturally, a person who doesn't have touch with beauty, who doesn't have touch with silence, who doesn't have touch with meditation, is naturally going to be a very dry person, a very shallow person, a person who has no depth, who has no taste of, I don't know how to say it. This is quietly observing, this quiet observation of anything is the process of learning. This is how you learn. So, please try to understand the importance of this. Learn where thought is not useful. Learn it. The faster you do it, the better it is. And see that you are living your own conflict and nothing else. I hope it was nice, and we meet again, and I would go back to my view now. Thank you.